frozen faces, pillow lips, cheeks that don't move when they smile. The Real Housewives franchise has given us incredible drama, iconic moments, and, unfortunately, some of the most shocking cosmetic procedure disasters on television. Today we're counting down 10 Real Housewives whose filler and Botox went terribly wrong. From overfilled lips that looked like they were stung by bees to foreheads so frozen they couldn't express a single emotion, these ladies learned the hard way that more is definitely not always more. Let's get into it. Number 10, Vicki Gunvalson. Vicki Gunvalson, the OG of the OC, has been on our screens since 2006. Over nearly 2 decades, we've watched her face go through dramatic changes that she's been surprisingly open about. In early seasons, Vicki had a naturally aging face with normal facial movement. But around seasons 7 and 8, her face became tighter, fuller, and significantly different. Her cheeks became more prominent, her forehead lost all movement, and her lips started looking unnaturally plump. By season 10, Vicki's face had that telltale overfilled look. Her cheeks were so high and round they pushed into her eye area, creating a puffy appearance that aged her rather than making her look younger. The excessive filler in her nasolabial folds created an unnatural smoothness that made her face look mask-like when she smiled. What makes her case particularly notable is how the fillers migrated over time. By season 13, you could see the filler had moved, creating lumps and bumps visible on camera. Her upper lip especially showed signs of overfilling, with that duck-like protrusion that happens when too much product is injected. The most concerning aspect is her jawline and lower face. The excessive filler created jowling and heaviness that actually made her look older. This is a common problem when people over-inject the mid-face. The weight of the filler pulls down the lower face over time. To her credit, Vicki has scaled back in recent years and her face looks more natural now. Number 9. Danielle Staub. Danielle Staub from Real Housewives of New Jersey is no stranger to cosmetic procedures. She's been incredibly open about her multiple surgeries, facelifts, and injectables throughout her time on the show. When Danielle returned in season 8 and full-time in seasons 9 and 10, the difference was shocking. Her face appeared completely different, stretched tight like a drum, with minimal movement and an almost waxy appearance. The most obvious issue is the excessive Botox in her forehead. She literally cannot move her eyebrows or forehead at all. When she tries to show emotion, only her mouth moves while the rest of her face remains completely frozen. This creates an unsettling disconnect. Her cheeks are so overfilled, they've created a chipmunk-like appearance, sitting unnaturally high on her face. The filler has also migrated laterally, creating width that makes her look heavier on camera. Her lips are significantly larger, with that telltale duck lip shape indicating overfilling. The lip filler appears uneven, with visible lumps in close-up shots. Perhaps most concerning is what appears to be filler in her temples and tear troughs. While these are legitimate injection sites when done properly, Danielle's appear overdone, creating fullness that looks unnatural and ages her face. The tear trough filler has created a puffy, swollen look under her eyes that never goes away. Danielle has defended her appearance multiple times, insisting she loves how she looks and has no regrets. Number 8. Kim Zolciak-Biermann. Kim Zolciak-Biermann from Real Housewives of Atlanta has undergone one of the most dramatic transformations in the franchise's history. Her journey with cosmetic procedures has been well documented, both on RHOA and her spin-off, Don't Be Tardy. Kim's lips have become one of her most controversial features. They've been injected to the point where they dominate her face, creating that overfilled look many fans find distracting. The top lip especially protrudes unnaturally, and in certain angles you can see the lumps and unevenness. She's addressed the criticism by saying she loves her lips and doesn't care what people think. Her cheeks tell another story of overfilling. They sit so high and round on her face that they've created an almost cartoonish appearance. The excessive volume has also pulled her eyes into a more narrow, elongated shape, completely changing the geometry of her face. In side profile shots, the projection of her cheeks is especially noticeable. The Botox in Kim's forehead is equally problematic. She has virtually no movement from her eyebrows up, creating that frozen, surprised look even when she's not expressing any emotion. This immobility is particularly noticeable when she's trying to show concern or sadness. Kim's jawline and chin have also been subjects of speculation. Some fans believe she's had chin filler based on how much more pronounced her chin appears. Combined with what appears to be filler along her jawline, her lower face has taken on a heavy appearance that contrasts sharply with her earlier, softer features. Number 7. Shannon Beador. Shannon Beador from Real Housewives of Orange County has had a complex relationship with cosmetic procedures, often tied to her emotional state and personal struggles throughout her time on the show. When Shannon first joined RHOC in Season 9, she had a relatively natural appearance with some Botox, but nothing excessive. However, as her marriage to David crumbled, her face began showing signs of increasing cosmetic intervention. By Season 12 and 13, Shannon's face had changed noticeably. Her cheeks appeared fuller and higher, creating a roundness that wasn't there before. The filler gave her face a heavier appearance that, combined with weight gain during her divorce, made her look older rather than younger. This is common when filler is added during weight fluctuation. Shannon's forehead became completely immobile from Botox, creating that frozen look, preventing natural expression. This was particularly noticeable during emotional scenes where she was crying. Her forehead remained completely smooth and unmoving, while the rest of her face showed distress. Her lips showed signs of filler with uneven results, the top lip looking significantly fuller than the bottom lip. One of the most concerning aspects is what appears to be excessive filler in her nasolabial folds and marionette lines. Shannon's appear overfilled, creating a puffy, pillow-like appearance extending from her nose down to her chin. Shannon has been relatively open about her procedures, admitting to Botox and filler, but insisting she wants to maintain a natural look. However, the evidence suggests she's gone beyond natural. In recent seasons, Shannon appears to have scaled back, and her face looks less overfilled. Number 6. Ramona Singer. Ramona Singer from Real Housewives of New York City has been vocal about her cosmetic procedures, often promoting the doctors and treatments she uses. However, her face tells a story of procedures that have gone too far. In early seasons of Roni, Ramona had what appeared to be a facelift and some Botox, but her face still had movement. However, from Season 7 onward, her face began to take on that overfilled, frozen quality that signals excessive injectables. Ramona's eyes have become one of her most discussed features. The excessive Botox and what appears to be filler have created what fans call her crazy eyes. Her eyes appear unnaturally wide and bulging, giving her a perpetually startled expression. The skin around her eyes is so tight she can barely blink normally. Her cheeks are another major issue. They're filled to the point where they dominate her face, sitting so high they push into her eye area and create a squinty appearance. The excessive cheek filler has also pulled the corners of her mouth up slightly, creating an artificial smile even when she's not smiling. Ramona's forehead is completely frozen from Botox. She literally cannot move her eyebrows or create any lines, even when she's angry or surprised. During arguments or emotional moments, the frozen upper face creates a bizarre contrast with her animated mouth. What's particularly frustrating is that she frequently promotes the doctors and treatments she uses, seemingly unaware that her face is a cautionary tale rather than an advertisement. The texture of her skin often appears waxy and unnatural on camera. Number 5. Dorit Kemsley. Dorit Kemsley from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills has undergone a dramatic transformation since joining the show in Season 7. While she's denied having extensive work done, the photographic evidence tells a very different story. When Dorit first appeared on RHOBH, she already had the look of someone who had work done, but her face still had relatively natural proportions. However, by Season 9 and 10, her face had changed dramatically, becoming tighter, fuller, and significantly less mobile. Dorit's most obvious procedure is the excessive filler in her cheeks. They sit unnaturally high on her face, creating an almost balloon-like appearance that changes the entire shape of her face. The filler has created so much volume that it's pulled her eyes into a more narrow, cat-like shape. In side profile shots, the projection is especially dramatic and unnatural. Her lips are significantly larger than in earlier seasons, with that telltale overfilled look that makes them appear stiff and inflexible when she talks. The top lip especially protrudes unnaturally, and in close-up shots, you can see the lumps and unevenness indicating too much filler. The Botox in Dorit's forehead is extensive. She has virtually no movement from her eyebrows up, creating that frozen, surprised expression. This immobility is particularly noticeable during emotional scenes. Her mouth and eyes express emotion, but her forehead remains completely still. What makes Dorit's case particularly notable is her consistent denial of extensive work. She's claimed she's only had Botox and maybe some filler, but anyone with eyes can see she's had significantly more than that. Number 4. Braunwyn Windham-Burke. Braunwyn Windham-Burke from Real Housewives of Orange County appeared in seasons 14 and 15, but her cosmetic procedures were a constant topic of discussion throughout her time on the show. When Braunwyn first appeared, she already had the look of someone who had extensive work done. Her face was tight, her lips were full, and her forehead was frozen. What made her case particularly egregious was how young she was. In her early 40s, she already had the overfilled, overdone look that usually develops over years. Braunwyn's lips are perhaps her most controversial feature. They're massively overfilled, creating that duck-like appearance that dominates her face. The filler appears uneven, with lumps visible in close-up shots. Her top lip especially protrudes unnaturally, and when she talks, her lips move stiffly, unable to form natural shapes around words. Her cheeks show similar signs of excess. They're filled to the point where they create a chipmunk-like appearance, sitting unnaturally high on her face. The excessive volume has pushed her eyes into a more narrow shape and created a heaviness in her mid-face that makes her look older than her age. The Botox in Braunwyn's forehead is extensive. She has zero movement in her brow area, creating a frozen appearance that prevents any natural expression. During the many emotional and dramatic scenes she was involved in, her frozen forehead created a disconnect between what she was saying and what her face was expressing. What makes Braunwyn's case particularly sad is how young she was to have already done this much damage to her face. Number 3. Jennifer Aydin. Jennifer Aydin from Real Housewives of New Jersey has been incredibly open about her cosmetic procedures, often documenting them on social media and the show. However, openness doesn't mean the results are good. When Jennifer joined RHONJ in Season 9, she already had a very done look. But what made her case particularly notable is how much her face has continued to change during her relatively short time on the show. Jennifer's lips are massively overfilled, to the point where they dominate her entire face. They're so large that they affect the way she talks, creating a stiff, unnatural movement when she speaks. The filler appears uneven, with visible lumps and irregularities. In certain lighting, you can see where the filler has migrated above her natural lip line. Her cheeks are another major problem area. They're filled to extreme proportions, sitting so high on her face that they push into her eye area and create a squinty appearance. The excessive cheek filler has also created jowling and heaviness in her lower face, as the weight of all that product pulls down over time. The Botox in Jennifer's forehead is excessive. She has minimal movement in her brow area, and when she does manage to move her eyebrows, it looks unnatural and forced. What makes Jennifer's case particularly frustrating is that she frequently posts about getting more procedures, seeming to view cosmetic work as routine maintenance. Her husband Bill is a plastic surgeon, which has raised questions about whether having easy access to procedures has enabled Jennifer to go too far. Jennifer's face has become a cautionary tale about the dangers of having too much access to cosmetic procedures. Number 2. Lisa Rinna. Lisa Rinna from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills has become almost synonymous with bad lip filler. Her lips have been the subject of jokes, memes, and endless discussion throughout her time on the show and beyond. Lisa has been open about her lip filler journey, discussing the botched procedure she had years ago that left her lips permanently disfigured. According to Lisa, she had silicone injected into her lips in the 1,980 seconds, which was later found to be industrial-grade silicone. This caused permanent damage, lumps, and irregularities that she spent years trying to fix. However, Lisa's lips aren't the only issue. Her entire face shows signs of excessive cosmetic work. Her cheeks are overfilled, creating a hard, angular appearance that makes her face look gaunt rather than youthful. The filler has created an almost skeletal look, particularly in her mid-face. Lisa's forehead is completely frozen from Botox. She has zero movement in her brow area, creating that perpetually surprised expression. This frozen quality makes all her emotional expressions seem exaggerated or fake because only the lower portion of her face moves. What makes Lisa's case particularly notable is her attitude toward her procedures. She's been defensive and sometimes aggressive when people criticize her appearance, even though she's also joked about it herself. This contradiction suggests a complicated relationship with her cosmetic work. The texture of Lisa's skin has also become a topic of discussion. Despite numerous treatments, her skin often appears thin, tight, and almost transparent on camera. Lisa left RHOBH after season 13, but her lips and face will remain iconic examples of cosmetic procedures gone wrong. Number 1. Kim Richards. Kim Richards from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills takes the top spot on this list, not because her cosmetic work is the most excessive in terms of volume, but because the combination of procedures, alleged substance abuse, and natural aging has created one of the most dramatic and concerning transformations in the franchise. When Kim appeared in the early seasons of RHOBH, she already showed signs of cosmetic work, but her face still had some natural movement and recognizable features from her childhood acting days. However, as the seasons progressed and her personal struggles became more public, her face began to change in disturbing ways. Kim's lips show signs of filler, though not as extreme as some other housewives. However, what makes her lip filler particularly problematic is how it's interacted with the apparent muscle weakness or nerve damage in her face. Her lips often appear asymmetrical, moving unevenly when she talks. The Botox in Kim's forehead has created a frozen, mask-like appearance. She has minimal movement in her brow area, and when she does move her eyebrows, it looks forced and unnatural. This frozen quality is particularly unsettling when combined with her often glazed or unfocused eyes. What makes Kim's case uniquely concerning is how her cosmetic work has interacted with what appear to be other health issues. Her face often looks puffy and swollen in ways that don't seem related to filler alone, suggesting possible issues with alcohol or medication. The most heartbreaking aspect of Kim's appearance is how it reflects her well-documented struggles with sobriety and mental health. Kim's transformation serves as a reminder that cosmetic procedures can't fix internal struggles, and combining excessive work with substance issues can create results that are both physically and emotionally damaging.